Hi there again, it's Stephanie with just another video for you. Today we're going to be making a card using a Tim Holtz stamp called Crazy Birds. It's one of my favorites. We're going to be watercoloring today, so no markers. So first we're going to work on the background, and I decided to use some inks. This is the color Pumice Stone, and it's supposed to be gray, but it always turns out green when I watercolor it, but I kind of like it. I haven't lost my mind. I wanted a really grungy sort of not pretty background because the type of card we're making is a card for, when somebody's having a really bad day or something goes wrong. I wanted to make sort of a smart alecky card for that. So I didn't want it to be pretty. I wanted it to be like gray skies or a dumpster fire or something. I don't know. I just didn't want it to be very pretty. So I used the Pumice Stone, and then I decided, hey, let's not waste that ink, and blotted it down so that it would look really messy. I'm super impatient, so I used a heat gun. And then because it's distressed ink, I put some water on it so that it's all splotchy. And then I decided that was ugly enough. And so now we're going to go with the focus. I know with rubber stamps you're supposed to take out that black thing, but I never do because I'm lazy, and it works just fine. So I'm going to use VersaFine ink, which is a pigment ink, but it's waterproof, so it's pretty good for watercoloring. And I'm going to stamp it 2 times because I like it really bold black outline. And I like this stamp because this bird looks concerned, and I don't know, that's how I feel most days when things don't go my way, and things don't usually go my way. Not that everything needs to go my way, but everything needs to go my way. Otherwise, I'm not going to be happy. And if I'm happy, then everybody's happy. I told my husband once when we got married, I was like, listen, just remember, happy wife, happy life. And for the most part, he follows that, so it's good. So instead of using watercolor paints, I'm going to use some Tombow markers. I did note the numbers, so they'll be in the thing below, the description below. I decided a red bird is always good, and so I decided to color/paint him with red. You can do this with any markers. It doesn't have to be these markers. You could have some Crayola markers, and the same thing is going to work. All you got to do is color it in and then use a wet paintbrush and move the ink around because you're making it run on your terms. So I'm just using a cheap paintbrush from Michael's. It was like $3 and they're my favorite. And so then you just control, like in a controlled way, you make the ink run, and then there you go. Looks like watercolor. And I do a little highlight in the middle where it would be, and then boom, dimension. And it took, actually I only sped this up 2 times, so it didn't take any time at all. And so again, heat tool, impatient. And a hint, if your paper starts warping, heat the back, it'll flatten out again. For the beak, I'm using brown in this gross yellow color. Like I said, I didn't want it to be a too happy card because it's supposed to be for somebody that, things aren't going their way. One thing I always do is I always put shadow on the eyeballs. It just makes them look round. You don't have to, though. And want a little more yellow in the beak, and there you go. 1 concerned bird and 1 black speech bubble. So I want to pop them up on a card. So I'm just cutting them out. You'll notice that I do cut off his legs, and I do cut off his hair. And I'm not some sort of cartoon bird murderer. I just know that I'm going to stamp it on the card so that, because I didn't want to cut around all those stupid things. And I'm not a great cutter. So if I just color the outline black, then you can't really tell that I'm such a terrible color. So I had a plan for this little speech bubble. I want the bird to be swearing, but not really swearing because I know kids watch this video. My nieces Tessa and Tave watch it, so no swearing. And so instead, I'm going to do like the cartoon sort of sweary words, which is like with different symbols. So like we have like an ampersand and a hashtag and all sorts of things. So you can imagine that the bird, if the bird could talk, he'd be swearing. And he'd be swearing at me now anyways because I cut his legs off. So this is a good speech bubble for this bird. So it's really tiny, and the embossing powder I chose wasn't really up to the task of really tiny words. So it just looks like a kind of white blob right now. And I was not impressed with a white blob. So one way to fix this is you pull out a permanent marker and you draw in the black spaces. So that's what we're going to do. So I just took a little micron pen and started coloring in the parts that were filled in by the tape so that you can see that it's just a bunch of symbols just to make the bird look extra frustrated. And there's our background. So as I said, I cut off the legs and hair because it's too hard to cut around them, and I didn't want any white around the bird, so instead I just cut out the color parts, and then if I stamp it onto the background, it looks like I cut out the whole thing perfectly. Ha! It's a trick. It's a lazy person's trick. See? Full bird. So now he can be happy and he doesn't need to swear at me anymore because he's got legs again. One thing I like to do is I like to pop it up on some foam tape. This is my dollar store foam tape. You don't need $40 foam tape. I mean, if you can afford $40 foam tape, awesome. And you should think about adopting a full-grown adult woman because I'll come live with you if you have $40 foam tape. But I just get mine from the dollar store and it's perfect. And so there, and I cut my nails off, so now I can't take the backing off of anything. So you're going to watch me, even though I sped it up, you're going to watch me struggle with this paper. And I put a little bitty piece on his beak. And so what? I'm going to stick him down on the background, and he looks pretty good with that grungy background. The grungy background in Concerned Bird. And then we're going to put his little frustrated speech bubble. I'm going to color in a white spot that I left because I didn't want any white spots on him. And then we're going to put our little speech bubble. Sorry, I'm out of frame there. Up, and now he looks very concerned. I liked it as it was, but I felt that it needed a bit of a sentiment, so I went with the what the, which is what I would say if somebody told me something shocking or disappointing. So what the seemed really appropriate. Now, as with most of my cards lately, I decided that I was going to put it on a black matting. I don't know. I just think it looks classy. And a swearing bird should have a classy background. So I put it on some black paper. And then I'm going to stick it to a white note card. And then that's going to be the whole card. I think it looks great the way that it is. It's not too cheerful, but I think that it's funny. I think it would give somebody a chuckle for a moment and forget whatever's happened. So I really like it, and I hope you do too. Hey, thanks for watching to the end of the video. If you're still here and you haven't subscribed, please think about doing so. If you want to see the last video I did, which was, I think, a Christmas video, but it was also a Snoop Dogg video, go ahead and click on that link, and I hope to see you around again. Feel free to visit my blog at www.sassybasscrafts.blogspot.ca. See you again soon.